So there was something that you mentioned. You mentioned that the careers that are happening today, they are non-linear, right? And so they have to require transition across industries. You gave mention of yourself that you have to move from one industry to another. So now for someone that is stuck in a role or in a sector that no longer really aligns like that, what are the first practical steps they should take to, transition into what they want to do without starting from the beginning? I don't know if you got my question. Did you get my question?
Yes, I got your question. Sorry, I
Okay.
just switched my video can work since I'm done sharing. So I switched to my mobile. I believe everybody can see it. Yes? Okay. Great. Okay, thank you. So yeah, that's a very good question actually. I thought I was out of time. I really wanted to speak a bit more to transitioning. As someone who transitioned myself, I mean, backstory, I transitioned out of consulting, tax consulting, and moved fully into people development type of consulting, that's management consulting with a focus on people development. And it was actually quite a shift because that question you just asked is one question I wish that somebody answered for me, because at the time that I transitioned, I didn't have as many answers as I would have loved to have. So I had to figure out things a lot on my own. But what I know now is that whenever you want to transition, no matter how unrelated where you are and where you're trying to go looks, there's always a connection. Now I know that the seed of your next is in your now. So whenever you want to transition, you have interest in a particular phase, even if it's a space that is completely different from where you are going, what you need to do is sit down and do some research. This new place that you're trying to go to or you want to move into, what are the skills that are required to excel in that space? Then do an audit of the skills that you have right now. You will often find that there are at least one or two transferable skills from where you are to where you are going. And it's those transferable skills you need to leverage upon and build with. So some people show up, when they're trying to transition, they're in an interview and you're saying, okay, where you're coming from is different from this role that you're applying for. Why did you apply for this role? What are you looking to achieve and blah, blah, blah. And you hear some people saying, I'm just tired of where I am. I just want to try this new space. That's a wrong answer. The way to answer that intelligently is you've done your audits. You've done your research. This place I'm going. Let me give you an example with myself. I was moving from, being in the world of tax. I did a lot of work around deal advisory, mergers and acquisition, and I was moving into consulting that was focused on people development. It looks like there's no connection, tax, people development, but in reality, when I look at it, part of my work, I'm giving a particular example, my own story of transferable skills. Part of my work had to do with going to preparing presentations for my managers and leaders to make those presentations, to clients based off maybe engagements, an advisory opinion or whatever. So when we're done with the work, back end thing, you have to go and make a presentation. And oftentimes I made those presentations. I created those slides. And because of the fact that I created a slide, a lot of times when before the manager goes for the presentation, they would invite me to a room and do a dry run. So different parts say, no, see this part, say it this way. I think you should say this part this way. So I soon became popular as the senior member of the team that you bring into a room when you want to do a dry run. So that in doing that, of course, for me to be able to guide people on how to present better, it meant my own presentation skills were already kind of good. So when I was transitioning, a powerful learning story would have been me highlighting my skill in creating presentations, right? In doing research skill was already present, and that's a critical skill for people development, right? Presentation skills, preparing presentation slides, critical skill. Delivering presentations, critical skill. So even though I'm coming from tax, there are some things I've been doing, there are some skills I've gathered, whether directly or indirectly doing that work that I can transfer. So this new space, I was doing client engagement and client management. In my new space, I required that skill as well. So rather than feeling disadvantaged, like, oh, I'm moving from tax, I have to start from the scratch. No. Do a skill audit of where you are and where you're going. Recognize the gap between where you are and where you're going and start to take courses to fill that gap. But position yourself with the skills that you already have. Rewrite your LinkedIn page, your CV around the transferable skills that you already have. All right, but actively keep working to fill the gap between the skills you have and the skills that you need. This will help you not start from the scratch because you're coming with some skills that are ready to use. I hope this helps.
Yes, it does. Yes, thank you so much for that. So we're going to take some questions in the chat box. First one from Chirim. What's your advice for someone who is in a job he or she does not like but ends on it?
Good one. That's a very good question. And maybe I'll take it that maybe you when you don't just say you earn, some people earn well. Now, when you say, you're in a job you don't like, the question is, why don't you like your job? Because I found in my work, aside from my work in learning and development, I function as a career reinvention coach. So I help people transition. So it's a very familiar terrain for me. So when someone comes and say, oh, Christina, I don't like my work, but it pays me well, the first question is, why don't you like your work? So I found that it's different things for different people. And it's important to name that why, so that we know what the real problem is. Because sometimes the problem is not the work. So why? Some people found out that it's actually a difficult leader that they have, a difficult boss that is making them not like the work. So we know the problem. For some people, I've actually been in a situation where the real reason why this person was feeling very dissatisfied and thinking is the work I need to quit was because they were simply stressed. This person was living in Ikorodu, working in VI, leaves the house 4:30 a.m., gets back 10:30 p.m., Monday to Friday, Saturday goes for classes, ICANN classes, Saturday and Sunday, Monday again. Of course, you start to hate your work because you're tired. So this person was thinking, I need to quit, I'm tired. There's no, literally having like a mental breakdown. And the simple shift that needed to happen was, Auntie, how much have you saved? It's time to find a roommate and move to somewhere closer to the office. Which is the action she took. So she found a place, paired up with someone, got a place to stay on the island. And by making that shift, she now was able to, get back some of her time, to use that time to do some other things that she liked, right? Some other things like, participating in church activities and all these other things. Because at the end of the day, you are a whole human being. Beyond work, there are other parts of you that are seeking expression. Like one of my egmons was sharing in the session I was saying, he said some people are very disgruntled at work because all they have is that work. That's their heaven and earth. You don't have any other thing. Like if this work is taken from you, you don't have anything else, no other identity, no other place where you pour, no other place where you impact, no other place where you have add value. And the reality is that God has wired us as such multi-potential human beings that if your work is everything and taking everything from you, there's no how. You will start to feel disgruntled at a point. You must seek to have a life outside work, literally. Because that could also be why you start to hate your work. It's not the work. It's that's all you're doing. You don't have any other outlets where there's a lot of laughter and joy in your life. It could even be family for some people. So why do you dislike your work? It could be, so you want to answer that question, whatever it is for you. Is it the team you're working in? Is it distance? Is it the organization, or is it the work itself you're doing? Do you feel like you'll be better off in another role within the same organization? Because then some people are just quick to exit, whereas all they need to say, look, I think I'll be better off in this role, maybe customer engagement. So you now actually start to have the conversations that can help, move you, as opposed to just quitting and starting again. So you need to answer that question. What do I dislike about my work? If it's something that has to do with the mismatch of, maybe your preferences, your skills, your strengths, if it's a mismatch, then what you now want to do is not the first thing to do when you start to feel frustrated by your work. The first thing not to do is don't quit. Because if you actually resign without a plan, before you hated your work, now you hate yourself. Because your bills are not respected of persons. You must, at every point, even if you hit a point where you realize that, look, I have to exit this place, you must have a plan. You must have a plan. So if you're trying to move into another industry, another line of work, have you done your skill audit? Have you bridged the gap? Have you started volunteering in a space where, in a space that is connected to where you're trying to go to, so that you can also validate that this other space is actually good for you? Because some things look good on paper or on social media, but when you get there and do the work, it still is not a good match for you. So I always recommend, before you make that big move, go and volunteer there. Go and try your skills. Go and try and solve problems. Let you know whether it's actually a good fit for you. Otherwise, you start to hop up and down from one job to another because you've not validated your interest. So remember, it pays you well. You don't like it right now. Question, why don't you like it? Name the problem. The problem is never your job. It's because that same job that you may feel like you don't like right now, that's somebody's prayer point. So the job is not the problem. Is it that the problem is a mismatch of skills? Is a mismatch of leadership? Is a mismatch of role? So identify the problem so that you are actually focused on solving the problem as opposed to just thinking, is my work, is my work, is my work, is my work. Whereas you haven't actually addressed or named what the real problem is, so that whatever action you are taking actually gets you headway. So the first thing is not even where it's going to lead to resignation. You must have a plan, a financial plan, save up, whatever, so that you have a buffer for your next phase. I hope that helps and it's actually practical enough for you to work with. Thank you.
Yes, it did. Thank you very, very much. So who asked that question? The person asked that question, please have a plan. So we'll speed run we have 3 more questions. Please, after this one, we'll have to go to the next session. So I'll start with Daniel Dan. He said, I was wondering how to reflect Mars V in the sports industry. Okay.
Wondering how to, did you say reflect?
Yeah, he said reflect Mars V in the sports industry.
Okay, if I understand that question, I think maybe the person is saying, how do I apply Mars V in the sports industry? And I'll say it's applicable to every industry. You're in sports, you're in fashion, you're in whatever, you need to have a positive mindset. Sports, I mean, when it comes to sports, your mindset is even everything, right? So your mindset, that applies, awareness applies, all of it applies. You have to build meaningful relationships as well, right? You need to understand the season you are. Are you entry level? Are you already a pro? Should you be negotiating? I mean, think about it. In sports, for example, I mean, I watch football, I enjoy football. Someone like Ronaldo, the point, look at the way he intentionally crafted his career journey before then going to, play sports, in the Arab region that he is now. Some people, if you go there too early, we won't know you in the most popular leagues, right? And it will affect the value you can command. But having built a reputation in the more popular leagues, by the time he's moving to these Arab guys, he can command so much more value. But you see, a younger footballer making that kind of move will need to know that, hey, I'm not going to be known in the places that are the biggest yet. This is the cost I'm going to take. This may be the most I would ever earn because nobody else will pay the kind of money that Arab guys are paying. Do you see? So you can go there as an experienced guy who is, winding down your career. But at your early phase, you have to really consider. And that's why you can see some of the footballers have turned down, invitations from these Arab countries because they're like, no, I'm still young. Let me still build my career where I can be seen. Do you see what I mean? So there's actually room for all of it. Grow your skills, there's room for that. Practice stewardship, there's room for that, right? Building meaningful relationships, being visible, putting yourself out there about your work and all of that. Video recordings of your sports and all of that could get you the right attention. So I'm hopeful that this helped because actually from where I see it, Mars V, it's a principle that cuts across every industry, becoming sought after there. So let me know if maybe that your question depends from this. And you just
Yes, thank you very, very much. I will say the remaining questions so we can answer them. We have like 3 minutes more. So next question, is it wise to quit a high-paying job to a low-paying job in order to change a career and also grow? Then another question I was asked was, should one not be worried that constant exploration can lead to lack of direction?
Okay, let's speak to the last question. Constant exploration leading to a loss of direction. Again, every exploration journey should actually have connecting points. Exploration is not spontaneous because the reason why we cannot sort of like when I talk about constant exploration, you keep evolving as a person. 10 years ago, if someone had asked me to describe what my career path will look like, or where I will be in 10 years time, that question now, where will you be in 10 years time? All those kind of questions. Some of you think about it. Where you said you'll be in 5 years time or 10 years time, you're 2 years after. You are not on that path. And it's normal because our journey of self-discovery is a continuous journey. You get into spaces, you discover things about yourself you never knew, abilities that you have, skills that you can exercise. So 1 year is long. So I'm telling you, because you keep evolving. And again, what you realize that actually some plans for your career were sold to you by people who you respect, who meant well. So just because you had an uncle who was very prosperous and was an accountant, that seed dropped in you and you just kept saying, I want to be an accountant. And the more you say something, the more you feel like you're sure about it. So you said it for so many years, you were so sure that accounting is for me. There was never any logical process that led to the arrival of you are suited for accounting. That kind of person, by the time they start to work in accounting and they start to discover themselves and realize that, or maybe even from school, but they just thought, okay, let me just struggle at least to go and work. Then you start with, so people even excelled on a particular course. Like me, I finished first class in economics, but I'm not in the economics field, full time. I do one or two things connected to labor economics because I'm in labor space, but my core is not that. And I did excel. But when I got in my journey through school, I realized that my greatest strength, has nothing to do with this course I'm studying. There are some skills that this course gave me for sure, but I had to redirect myself. So because your journey of self-discovery is continuous, your journey of evolution and exploration is also continuous. The only thing is that you must have a vivid picture of the kind of life you want to build, even as you explore and as you journey. So you're not just tossed to and fro by, your exploration is not outwardly driven, it's actually inwardly driven based on discovery of yourself. And for the second question, because of time, let me rush to take that. Can you quit a high-paying job to a low? Oh, I did that. Oh, that's what it took for me. If I know now what I knew then, maybe I wouldn't have gone that low. Like I could have commanded even more value. But I actually took a 90% pay cut when I was switching. So it was a significant one, but I gave myself 5 years that I have to rise back up, right? And I followed through on that goal, thankfully. So yes, the process of transition may sometimes think about it this way. It's like a catapult, right? That catapult thing is like a Y and then there's a rope, a stone. And then every time you want to launch a stone forward with a catapult, you have to pull back. And that's how transitions can be sometimes. You want to launch into a different career path, a different space. There is a pullback that may happen. It doesn't happen all the time because sometimes some people, where they're going to is similar to where they're coming from. But sometimes you are going to a space where you have to pull back. That pullback is like you pull back in your career race, you pull back in your income. There's a pullback, but if you're strategic enough, that pullback will only lead to a launch forward. It will be a temporary cut, right? That would open the door for prosperity in your new phase. But sometimes, yes, sometimes you may have to, because you're new in the space and you need to learn some things quickly and then position again to bounce back with your revenue. I hope that helps and it's practical.
Yeah, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you very, very much, Ma. So the last question, please, Blessing, you can unmute your mic. You have 20 seconds to ask your question. Please, less than 20.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, my question goes like this. Just as Christina told us that we should, like now I'm an accountant I studied accounting. So when I finished my school, I wanted to get a job and I stayed in the mainland. So the jobs I was getting then was in Ireland. So when I checked the salary and all that, before I will transport myself to that place, there will be no money remaining for me. So I now decided that, okay, what is something that I can do at the comfort of my house? What skill can I do? So I decided to opt for data analysis. I studied data analysis for 3 months, and then I got my certificates and all that. But, data analysis is quite wide, and most of the things that we were taught I realized was the basics. So when I decided to self-study on my own to practice, I discovered I was having difficulties, you get. So I was looking for communities to join and all that. So I'm trying my possible best now to grow in data analysis, but it's not really that easy as it is. So you were talking about the things that you've already studied before, that you should link it to what you are studying right now. So me, I don't know, accounting and data analysis, they don't even have anything in common, right? So, but I decided to choose it because of the distance and all that. So I don't know if it's really, really bad. Must I,
Okay, let's
thank
could
you.
you? Yes, thank you. So,
Okay, thank you, Blessing. I think I understand your question. So 2 things. First, I recommend that you become an active participants in the DataMind community, because a lot of guidance is there for you. It's hard to grow in isolation. Anything gets difficult when you're alone. We are wired to move, operate in communities. So I feel like there's a lot of support that you can lean into. Then accounting and data analysis actually have a lot of things in common. A lot. I need you to go and do some research online. We don't have the time now, but maybe Coach Olamide can even, in fact, actually, okay, yeah, he's in the comment section saying the same thing. Once you say, I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of accountants are actually, transitioning into data analysis. So there's a connection. Because of time, I want to suggest you please go on ChatGPT or Google and do a search. Just ask, how can I transition from accounting to data analysis? Or what are some common skills between accounting and data analysis? Right? And you would begin to find that information for yourself. And then also begin to actually look at profiles of people on LinkedIn who were accountants and are now data analysts, and see what kind of jobs they are doing, what kind of job descriptions they are taking up, so that you can position yourself for those sort of opportunities. So that's what I'll say to that because of time. But please, this community has a lot of answers for you. You should absolutely be involved. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Please, everybody give her an e-clap. Clap, clap, clap. Use your clapping emoji here. Thank you. It was a very, very beautiful and insightful session. I learned so much, and I'm sure everyone here learned more than a lot. Right? Thank you again, and God bless you. Please, let's clap for her. Let's clap for her. Let's clap for her.